Alright, Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, double line to the Apostles GMS. My name is Amnawah Allah, coming at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on contentions and sufferings and afflictions when it comes to teaching the truth and giving them a couple examples of that in the scriptures. Right now I'm in the park, I'm getting ready to go to war. I'm about to break out and go to work soon, so I kind of got to breeze through this show. So I had this in my phone for me about 2 weeks. I want to do the show, so I'm going to do it now. And hopefully the video comes out well. Hopefully you brothers don't see a glare from the sunlight or anything like that. So let's get right to it. This is the book of First Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 2. I'll start from verse 1. For yourselves, brethren, know our entrance in unto you, that it was not in vain. It says, but even after that we had suffered before and were shamefully entreated. Right, so the Apostle Paul made a statement talking about how we had suffered before and were shamefully entreated. And that's going to happen in this truth. You're going to suffer and you're going to be shamefully entreated. There's people out there in the streets, and we'll be out there teaching out there and wherever we are throughout the world, whether you're in New York, whether you're in LA, Chicago, Texas, in various other parts of the world, or the four corners of the world, wherever you may be teaching, you're going to suffer shame and you're going to be entreated, you're going to suffer and you're going to be treated shamefully. Because why? The people hate the word of the Lord. Alright? They love evil more than good. And the scripture I told you in the book of Amos 5 and 10, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate. So those that rebuke in the gate, and meaning the gate to the city, people are going to hate you. Because why? You're telling them not to do the wrongs that they're doing. You're telling them to turn from their ways and live by the righteousness of the Heavenly Father, of Yahweh Shemel Shah, which is what the scriptures. So it says, but even after that we had suffered before and were shamefully entreated, as you know at Philippi, we were bold in our power to speak unto you the gospel of the Most High with much contention. So the Apostle Paul said, what? We were bold in the Most High. See? But yet still, even through all of that, we're still bold to speak the word of the Lord. We still out there teaching. You're out there in the public, man. We're out there in the chief place of concourse teaching the word of the Lord. Anybody can come up to us and do anything. Somebody can come up and kill us. Our car can roll up on the curb and run us over. But guess what? We have faith in the Most High that that's not going to happen. But it says, and that's why a lot of people, they don't want to go out, a lot of people out there who claim to be Israelites, claim to be prophets, don't want to go out there in the streets and teach because they're not bold in the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shah. So it says we were bold in our power, or in our God, the Most High, to speak unto you the gospel, meaning good news. What's the good news? That the Most High sent the Son Yahweh Shah to die for the sins of the children of Israel. And we're justified through faith in Him. And through Him we will receive salvation, we will receive eternal life. Israel, beginning with the elect, which you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, based upon your father's line. Because you got Israelites out there that's from various parts of the world who may not look like Israelites, but through their father's line, they are. You got some people out there from Ireland, people out there in Sicily, people out there in Africa who look like straight up Hamites, but they're actually Israelites. People in China, Japan, and various other parts of the world. So it says, we were bold in our power to speak unto you the gospel of the Most High with much contention. So we spoke this word of the Lord with much contention. The word contention comes from that word contend. And the word contend means to fight, like a contender. So we spoke this word in much contention, in much of a fight. But what kind of fight? A spiritual fight, a spiritual battle. Alright? Let me get to the next scripture. So the Apostle Paul was going through that back then. So if the Apostle Paul went through that back then, as well as Yahweh Shah and many other prophets and apostles, how much more us, which we are the apostles, we are the prophets. Apostle means sent away. So we actually are apostles by definition. This is Acts 16 and 16. It says, and it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with the spirit of divination met us. This is the Apostle Paul speaking, It says, and it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with the spirit of divination met us. So a certain damsel possessed with the spirit of divination. So she had spirits on her. She had divine and spirits upon her, right? Look at that word divination. To get a good, a more accurate definition. The word divination is on Google. It says the practice of seeing knowledge, or the future, or the unknown, or the unknown by spiritual means. All right. So she was like a fortune teller, so to speak. Okay? When you go on Merriam-Webster, it says definition of divination. The art or practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events or discover hidden knowledge, usually by the interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural power. So this woman was like a so-called fortune teller, like Miss Cleo, so to speak. It says, and it came to pass, as he went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with the spirit of divination met us, which brought forth her masters much gain by soothsaying. Let's look at that word soothsaying. Let's look that word up real quick. Soothsayer. This is on Google again. It says, feel me, a person supposed to be able to foresee the future. Same thing. It says, you go to Merriam-Webster, for soothsayer, it says the origins are straightforward. A soothsayer is someone who says soothe. You may, however, find that less than enlightening. Soothe is an archaic word meaning truth or reality that dates from the Old English and was used until about the first half of the 17th century. So soothsayer is a person who says to foretell things of the future, to foresee the future. So she was like a fortune teller, so to speak, a so-called fortune teller, right? But she had evil spirits on her. It said the same follow Paul and us. So it said the same follow Paul and us. Go up a little bit. So this is, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It says follow Paul and us. I want to see who the other person was. That had to be, well, it doesn't tell you exactly who it was, but I know this is Acts the 16th chapter. So this is when Paul and Silas was together. But continuing on, it says, but Paul is this is what I'm looking for, in this particular event. It circles around Paul, because I'm going to read it right now. It says, the same followed Paul and us and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High Power, which show unto us the way of salvation. And this did she many days. She did this many days following him saying this. It says, but Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the Spirit, I command thee in the name of Yahushua to come out of her. And he came out of her the same hour. See? And he came out the same hour. So the Apostle Paul cast that demon off her. So it says, and when her masters, and it says, and he came out of her. So it's talking about the Spirit. See that? And when her masters saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers, and brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city. See, they was upset at what Apostle Paul did, because when Apostle Paul cast those demons off of that woman was no longer soothsaying. So no one was no longer coming to her, giving her money, giving to her masters any money, to have their fortunes being told, to have their future be foreseen. And they were upset about that. So he delivered Paul over unto the rulers. So it says, and brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city, and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans, being false witness right there. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely. So this is Paul and Silas. That was talking about Paul and Silas. That's what I was talking about. So that was contention the Apostle Paul went through. Now check this out. This is Acts the 5th chapter. I didn't have this one written down, but I want to get to it. This is Acts chapter 5, verse give me 1 second. It says Acts 5 verse give me 1 second, man. I hate when this happens. Give me 1 second. 1 second, hold on. It's Acts 5. 1 second. Alright, right there. Let's see if I can find it. Alright, okay. This is Acts chapter 5. I found it. Acts chapter 5, verse 16. It says, "There came also a multitude out of the cities round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, and them that were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed every one." So this is when Peter was passing by the people, and when the shadow overcame them, they was actually being healed. They were actually healed just by Peter's shadow, Apostle Peter's shadow passing over them. And it says, "Then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is the sect of the Sadducees, and were filled with indignation," they was angry, "and laid their hands on the apostles and put them in the common prison." Okay? So they laid hands on the apostles, and they put them in the common prison, right? Now, I'm going to jump down. It says, Acts 5, and Acts 5 and 28 now, because what happened was the Most High, what the Most High did was the Most High had them open the prison doors and allowed them to come out. That allowed Peter and the apostles to come out of that prison. He opened the prison doors and broke them free, so to speak. All right, from the actual prison, and they were out there teaching in the temple. So when you jump down to Acts 5:28, it says Acts 5 and 27, and when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, Did not we straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. And Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. The Most High of our fathers raised up Yahushua, whom you slew and hanged on a tree. Him hath God exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. And we are his witnesses of these things. We're the Most High's witnesses of these things. We obey the Most High rather than men. It says, and so is also the Holy Spirit, whom the Most High hath given to them that obey him. When they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. All right. And when you jump down, verse 38, this is Gamaliel speaking. It says, verse 37 says, After this rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. Now this is good. This is Gamaliel speaking now, but I'm reading. It says, And now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it, lest happily you be found even to fight against the Most High. And to him they agreed, and when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua, and let them go. So they beat the apostles and told them, don't speak in the name of Yahushua no more, as they said, right? And it says, and they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. See that? They rejoiced because they were found worthy to suffer shame for the name of Yahushua. So that's why the scripture tell you, when I go now into diverse temptations, count it all joy. That's in the book of James, 1st chapter, right? If I'm not mistaken. And daily in the temple and in every house, they ceased not to teach and preach Yahushua. So they still didn't stop. Let me get a couple more scriptures, and I'm gonna close it. This is Colossians. Let me get Colossians 2:1. Colossians 2:1. For I would that ye knew what great conflict I have for you, and for them at Laodicea, and for as many as have not seen my face in the flesh. So the Apostle Paul spoke about how he had much conflict for you, talking about those in Colossus, Greece. Colossus or Colossae, I believe it's pronounced Colossus. Those in Colossus, Greece. And also them in Laodicea, because there was also a church in Laodicea as well. Alright? Colossae. So the next one I want to get to is Philippians chapter 1, verse 29 and 30. And I'm going to close right there. Alright. you look at the word Colossae, it takes you to Colossae or Colossae. So Colossae or Colossae. I normally say Colossae, but you know, scripture speak about you know, stammering lips, you know, being rude and speak yet not in knowledge. This is Philippians 1:29. It says, "For unto you it is given in the behalf of Yahushua, and not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake." So not only to believe in Yahushua, you have to suffer for the sake of Yahushua. Scripture speak about that. Tell you, if you don't suffer affliction, if you don't go through affliction, you're a bastard. You're not a son of the Most High. A bastard is someone that's without a father. So you're supposed to go through affliction. That's supposed to happen.
Sometimes things can be last minute.
All right. This is So we got to suffer for his sake, and we suffer for the sake of Yahushua. What does that mean? You're suffering for the sake of the scriptures. You're suffering for the sake of his word. You're suffering for the sake of the calling which you have been called, hoping that through suffering and maintaining your patience unto the end, you be chosen. Alright? Scripture tell you that. If you don't get chastised, you're a bastard and not son. That's Hebrews 12:8. So back in Ephesians 1:29, "For unto you it is given in the behalf of Yahushua, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake, having the same conflict which you saw in me, and now here to be in me." So having the same conflict which you saw in the Apostle Paul, meaning going through the same thing the Apostle Paul went through, being shipwrecked and various other things, but you can read about that in the book of let me see, I'm not gonna read it. What is it, 1 Corinthians 9th chapter? See if I can find it real quick. Somewhere in Corinthians. Spoke about being shipwrecked. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 11. You can read about that in that chapter. But going back to Philippians 1:29 and finishing off. "For unto you it is given in the behalf of Yahushua," but Yahushua is one of the word ignorantly called Jesus Christ, and his father's name is Yahweh. That's their name in the Hebrew. Alright? "For unto you it is given in the behalf of Yahushua, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake." And suffering for the sake of Yahushua is suffering for the sake of his word. Suffering for the sake of the calling that you've been called, hoping that by maintaining your faith and your patience unto the end, you be chosen. And it says, having the same conflict which you saw in me. So the same conflict which you saw in the Apostle Paul, being shipwrecked and going through various other things, having the same conflict which you saw in me, meaning in the Apostle Paul, and now here to be in me. So the same conflict you saw the Apostle Paul going through, and the same conflict, or rather the same conflict they saw Apostle Paul going through, and the same conflict that they heard Apostle Paul was going through, they're going to suffer the same. Okay? And we're going through the same thing now because we are the prophets. And we're not saying that in private, saying that in faith. So with that, I'm going to close. All the brothers learn something, and with that, I'm going to say Shalom.